here we have it. This is our final game for storyline before we move on to Captivate. I'm going to give you some considerable time to do this, so don't be too intimidated. What you see is what you're going to have to design. You're going to have your navigation, which you'll see here in a second, levels, and then badges. All you have to do. I'm still contemplating, but you're going to have to do at minimum 2 levels of this game, and you'll see shortly. It's not that terrible, but it's tedious, and you will completely understand storyline by the end of this. So here we go. The very first part is going to be the parallax that we talked about. Okay, so I'm going to say preview right now. And I want it to be done real smooth. So right now ignore this blurry image. It's going to change in the output. But for now, you're going to take your little raccoon, you're going to drag him along, and lo and behold, he stumbles across some garbage. Once you click on the garbage, you then go to this little level here where you're going to have to collect all the candies or food or garbage, whatever it may be. And you do that by dragging along and answering a question. Yada, yada, yada. If you get it correct, green check, you can see that you get 5 points and then you collected the fruit. Whoa. And I can see that in my badge room here that I collected my candy. Now, one thing is, this isn't just arbitrary drag where you want. If I go too high, oh. Or if I run through a wall, oh, darn. So this is a game in the sense you got to navigate through all of this and then go to the respective questions. And again, this is level 1, so you would have to navigate through, dodge the rain, and then exit. Whoa. And then exit. And then coming back here, you would continue along your path and come to another, I don't know, bag of garbage, picnic basket, whatever you decide, and then go to another level. I'd really like to see, again, at minimum 2 levels of this. So we're going to go through it very quickly. I'm going to show you what I've done so you have reference and resources. And I'm also going to provide you this template, just because I don't think it'd be fair for you to spend so much time designing when it's not the design that I'm worried about. It is the understanding of the levels and everything. So here we go. The first thing you should know how to do, you're a little bit familiar because of last week's parallax video, right? And what I did in this sense was I didn't put the slider of the background on this particular stage. If you go up to view and then slide master, you'll see that's where I put the slider. And then I'm going to go ahead and say, I did a really big one. I probably didn't have to do it as big as I did, but I really wanted just to see, even still at 60%. You see how big that is? And I'm going to provide that to you so you can use it. So you have the slider one here. When I click on it and go to design, you can see that the name of it is main slider. Okay? So whenever main slider is moved, this is going to move as well. What you're also going to notice is the length of this. So this is really long. Look, you got 7,500 pixels. That's how long this is. You also see that I have a start of 0, an initial of 0, and an end of 40. So that means there's 40 clicks on this particular slider. Okay? So remember that. Now when I go back, I also have a slider that is our cute little raccoon here. Yeah. And now I'm going to go ahead and make sure you can actually see this. So I have a cute little raccoon here. But now, when I go up to design, what you'll see first is that there's only 10. So now there's only 10 clicks on this, meaning he's going to go farther with each drag, and the background is only going to go a little bit with each drag. Everything else is the same. I got a 0 start, a 0 initial, and then the 0.01 step. Interesting, though. Here's where it kind of gets a little tricky, maybe not, but I think so, is this slider is also called main slider. That is very beneficial because that means I can drag this guy without putting in any code whatsoever. I can drag this little bugger right here, which in turn makes him move, and the background, which creates that parallax effect. So again, picture what we just talked about. Both this background and this little critter are both main slider. So when I move him, so does the background. And that's how we kind of create that moving parallax effect, right? Cool. Now the other thing that I did, which I really want you to do, is make that variable. So Command T, then I go to Insert, Reference, Main Slider. So the other thing you'll see is when I go ahead and preview this and watch, here's my main slider, you can see this bump up incrementally. See that? And then here you saw the garbage come in at about 225, right? So you want to keep that main slider kind of reference on there, because when you go back to do additional layers, specifically with position on the timeline, you're going to want to know when to call to it over in the triggers panel. And by that I mean, if you look over here, first you see my light box, which is the badge room, but then you see this show layer level 1. And this trigger wizard is basically saying, show the layer, which you now know is that garbage falling down. Show that label level 1, when the slider moves. But when that slider, so I named my slider Raccoon just for my own purpose, when that particular slider is equal to 2.25. So it's doing nothing more than saying when you drag that slider along and that number begins to increase, once it hits 2.25, show the layer, right? So now I go to my layer, and the only thing that this has is, in fact, the garbage coming down, right? And then I have, it's hard to see here because it's in black, but then it says click with an arrow. You saw the animation. So that's really all you're going to do here. You can use this one, you can have it, but what you're going to have to do is create another layer, right? You're going to have to call that level 2, and then pick a number. Maybe it's 5 or maybe it's 7. Pick a number that when this navigates down through the timeline, that second level is going to come into play. You'll be able to click on that and go to the navigation of it, right? All right, cool. So next up is our game. Now we did this, little bits and pieces of it. We did this last week. But you can see immediately what I have here is a reset button that's set to hidden. I have my score up here. I still have this badge room, because when you have badges, you're always going to want to make that available to the user, just so they can check in and see what's going on. Then I have my candy, and I got my banana, and I got my garbage. Basically, you're probably picking up what I'm putting down here. Raccoon ran into some garbage. Now he's going to get it, right? Cool, cute, adorable. But because I have badges, and we've done this before in class, you need to have the true-false variable aspect of it. So if you see here, I have level 1, 1, level 1, 2, and level 1, 3. Back in my panel, you can see 1, 2, and 3. They're all true and false. They're all set to false, okay? And essentially, you have nothing more than a drag and drop, an object intersect, and then these animations here. I'm going to start with the animation just to keep it simple, because I'm going to want to ask you to recreate this level for level 2, but make it look different, right? Just like in all video games or whatever you want to call it, they're just different. So instead of having rainfall, maybe it's snowing in the next scene, but just kind of think of something that's different. Because I'm giving you the template, try to be a little bit more creative. But anyway, we have the raindrop, right? And essentially, if you look at the code, we did this. Oh, I didn't do this. You saw this happen before. What I'm saying is I want this to be on a motion path. So if I go to animation, you can see that there is a motion path there. All I did was click add motion path, and I chose the line one. That's all I did. I changed the time. If you click on all of these, you can see that the time is different on that. Or some of them anyway. And what you're going to want to do with that is just to make it look like it's a little bit more sporadic, right? But then to make it loop, and I think I covered this last week, all you do is allow that to fall, allow that animation to completely play through. which is automatic. The moment that you put on this motion path, a trigger occurs over in the timeline. So all I did was copy and duplicate that, right? But in duplicating it, I said, I want you to move that rain. Just do exactly what you did. But this time, instead of doing it on timeline starts, you can see here it says timeline starts. Instead of doing it on timeline starts, I want you to do it on when animation completes. And then what you do is you pick that animation in question, the object in question, which would be rain. And then the moment that you allow that, it's going to list all the potential animations on that. So that's it. I mean, if it makes sense, you're basically saying, hey, have an animation happen. But then you're saying, when that animation completes, just go ahead and do it again. And that's all. So that's how you're going to make this rain happen, right? Next up is the object intersects. So, because this is some sort of game-like environment, you want to make sure they keep within these confines. I did that by setting up blocks. So here's a block. I called it Sky 1. Here's a block. Here's a block. Then down here I have blocks as well that I called grass. And quite simply, you're probably already thinking about it right now, is the way that they allow you to use the object intersects is actually quite brilliant. So all I'm saying is change the state of raccoon, which you know is the dragger here. I want you to change that to the state intersect. And you can assume at this point probably that intersect is the wrong state or some sort of error occurred. And I want that to happen when the object intersects. And just like in drag and drop, the first thing you need to do is pick the object. So with us, we need to pick the object that we're dragging, right? So I pick the object that I'm dragging. And then I get to pick through this list absolutely anything that it may intersect with, right? So as I click through here, click, 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 click. Did I miss it? Oh, there we go. You can see that I picked Sky 1. There it is, turning red. I picked Sky 2, which is behind this window now. And Sky 3. And then as you go down more, you can see that I picked the grass. So the good thing is you have to do this code once. So now Storyline knows that if this particular raccoon intersects with any of the items that I put in this checked area, that it should change the state of the raccoon. And again, that is nothing more than this slide. So this, and I think that one over there. But you can see if I'm being a minute. Oh wait, goosh. There we go. Right. What I also did then was I wanted to put a reset button on there because just because you plopped into that doesn't mean the game's over. It just means you got to try again. So you can see this reset button here. If I look at my code, that's not true. What I should show you is exactly what I want you to do. I don't want that to show up unless this particular raccoon is in that intersect state or what we call the wrong state. So if you go to states, you see that I set it initially to hidden, right? So that is initially set to hidden. We're fine. We're good. But then for that to turn to normal, here's my reset. All I have to say is change the state of that reset button to normal. But when do I want it to be normal? When that raccoon is in the intersect state. So all I say is state, and we've done this before, and I pick what I want to do. So I look around, and there's raccoon. So I said when the state of raccoon is in intersect. So the moment that this raccoon goes to intersect because it intersected with something, this particular reset button will show. And you saw that happen. But then what I want to do is because it's reset and because of the way the code is set up, after you click it, so change the state of reset button, I want to change it back to hidden when they actually click the reset button. That way it kind of looks like it only is, well, it doesn't look like it is. You only want that reset button there when our raccoon is in that intersect state. Okay? So there we got it. We got the reset button. We know what's going on. We got the rain. We know how to do the object intersect. Now is the question. This we've probably done a million times, and that is that I'm going to take my little raccoon and I'm going to plop down here. When I plop down here, all I'm saying is when the item, raccoon, is dragged onto that first piece of candy to show a layer. And this layer now has a question in it. In addition to North America, raccoons can be found in, and then I want to go ahead and say right or wrong. Oh, geez, I picked the wrong button. It's actually Japan. So I changed everything and I put a check mark here, which makes the continue button go on. Now when I hit continue, woo, you could see that I earned points for answering that question. Right? So how do we do that? Simple enough. Now I only have question 1. I'm going to ask, and you can use all of this as reference. That is, there's something to that when you get out into this field where you're never, that's not true. You won't always be creating from scratch. Oftentimes you will be given something somebody else did that you have to understand, or something that you need to fix, or something that you need to develop further. So being able to look at what I've created and create additional levels and whatnot is going to be very helpful. So one kind of trick of the trade, and I don't know if I talked about this in other classes, but what I don't like, and what you're probably thinking right away, and let me ungroup this just so you can get a better handle of what's going on. What I don't like about hotspots, because you're probably thinking I have hotspots here, is it doesn't allow you to change a state. So hotspots don't have states. Meaning if I put a hotspot here and I wanted to have that green check or the X like we had, I would not only have to do a hotspot, I would also have to do a state for the green check. So it's kind of giving me double the work. Although it's clever at times, sometimes it's just not as useful as we want it to be. So what I did was I put a square on there, right? It's just a rectangle, excuse me. So I put a rectangle on there, and it's just a regular shape. It's nothing more than a rectangle. But what I did is, if you go to Format Shape here, you can see that I set the transparency to 99%. So it's practically invisible. But because I used a shape, I can now go down to states, and you can see, without putting in any code whatsoever, I can easily show whether it's correct or not. And here you go, you see that there's a green check in the selected state. And I don't need a trigger when I'm using the inbuilt states, right? So when I'm using any one of these here, these built-ins, I do not have to do a trigger. So I'm saving myself so much work by simply just using an invisible shape. Then you can see here, here's my red X, and then here I have another red X. And that's that. So what I do, and again, this one's not done either, I just did A. You'll have to do the rest. All I did was say little things. So I have this continue button that you know by now I did nothing more than set the initial state to hidden. No code, no trigger, just set the state to hidden. So I'm saying I want to change the state of that close button to normal when the user clicks one of these answers. So in this case, A. I want that to show close because I want them to be able to continue. So that's one. But what I also want to do is make this, since it is an assessment, I want to make it matter of fact. So you have one choice. Once you make your answer, or choose your answer, I'm going to say change the state of B, so that would be this box that I had here, and then of course there's C, to hidden. So now they make the Japan choice, they can no longer click on Morocco or Fiji, right? So change the state of B to hidden. And of course, you could probably understand that I'm going to say the same thing for C. I want that to be hidden. I don't want them to be changing their mind and clicking all over the place because we do have that scoring system going on. But what I'm also going to do, and then you should be able to see this clearly, is I need to adjust that variable, but only if they get it correct. So the correct answer here is Japan. So if they do click on Japan, I need to adjust that variable, which you see way down here, level 1, to true. And the only reason I'm doing that is because they got it correct, meaning they earned that badge. So I need to set that to true so it works in my badge moon, which we've done before. And I also, if you could see, I think I called it candy. No, I want to change the state of C, which is short for candy, sorry, to hidden when the user clicks the correct answer. So it looks like, again, the raccoon collected it, right? So just weird little things like that to make it look a little bit more kind of game-like. And then finally, I want to adjust the variable. So I made a variable. I called it score. You know how to do that. You just click this little X, make a variable. And then I said add the value of 5 if they click A, right? And that's what I want to do. If you get the right answer, you click it, get 5 points, you move on. If you want to say that they get negative points on the other two, so be it. It's up to you. Your gamification. Just wanted to show you what I did. So now when they click continue, it does nothing more than hide this layer. And when they come back, the candy will be gone. And then, of course, this level 1 will be set to true. So that pretty much sums up what you have going on there. Everything else should seem self-explanatory. The last thing that I did is I want our little raccoon here to navigate across, and then you see this hot spot here. That is nothing more than another when object interacts. And what I'm saying is I want to jump back to my navigation so I can go to the next level when the object interacts. And the object that I want to interact is my raccoon with that hotspot. Right? So when that raccoon hits this, it's going to jump to the scene of navigation, which is that parallax one that we had. Okay? So I will send this to you in a published sense so you can see it completely. But then again, I'm going to give you this template as well. So here we go. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Sorry. Abort. No. So this is what you'll do. You'll drive along, driving along, driving along, driving along. Oh, garbage. What should I do? Click on it. Okay, go to level 1. Here I'm in level 1. I can do all these things. Remember, oh, darn it, I can't do that. But I can come down here, collect my candy. I can get it correct. Green check. Go to continue. You can see that my candy is gone. Ooh, I guess that's not an okay thing. You can see my candy is gone. And when I go to my bedroom, you can see that I earned my candy. So what you'll need to do in this process is also make a question for the banana that they have to then earn and get points. Make a question for the hot dog, which they need to get correct and make points. That will in turn put a banana peel here and a hot dog here. But then when they actually navigate through, you'll come back here and you can see that we're in the same position. We're still at 2.3 and he's here. So now we're going to continue to navigate. And what I'd like you to do is have, again, something else, a picnic basket. Whatever it is that you decide, drop onto scene here. Then I click on it and it'll take me off to level 2. Okay? So that is it. We're going to finish up with some really good results slide and kind of like a, I don't know, we're going to make this as gamified as possible. But for now, between now and when you come back from spring break, this is what I would like you to do. Thank you much.